Good morning and welcome. We begin our time together in song with Love Knocks and Waits for Us to Hear by Daniel C. Damon. Please make sure your microphone is muted and sing along energetically to welcome in this gorgeous new day. It's beautiful outside. Enjoy. Well, stay and enjoy after the service. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Gwinnett. My name is Jan Taddeo. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and it is my great joy and a tremendous privilege to serve our faith as a minister of this congregation. I'm so glad we are together this morning. If you have a chalice or a candle you want to light in a few minutes, please have that ready. We arrive from many places and many life experiences as we gather in this cherished space to recall our true selves, reflect on the meaning of our lives, and explore questions of ultimacy together. We are people who are new to Unitarian Universalism and people who are lifelong Unitarian Universalists. We are people of many religious beliefs and practices. We affirm and promote the responsible search and truth for meaning. We affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. Got that right. We are people of many genders, sexualities, ethnicities, origins, ages, shapes, sizes, and expressions of our true selves. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people. We are people of all ages and family structures, and we each bring gifts, talents, and passions that serve to affirm and promote communities with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are people of covenant who engage with one another in ways that promote and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We are people who care deeply for our planet and understand we are inextricably and profoundly connected with the web of all existence. We are people who welcome all who are seeking a community of faith that welcomes your whole self, all that you were, all that you are, all that you yearn to be. And you are just where you should be, in a room full of compassionate, thoughtful Unitarian Universalists ready to meet you where you are. You are welcome here. You are home. If you are a newcomer this morning, we hope you will indeed find your spiritual home here with us. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We foster spiritual growth as we joyfully nurture connections and community within our walls and beyond. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times to get the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition. Come, be curious, courageous, and compassionate with us. And now let's all take a big, deep breath and bring ourselves more fully into this precious time we've set aside. As sound vibrates through us and around us, may we be reminded how deeply and profoundly and inextricably connected we are with one another, with all our neighbors, with all life on this planet, with all the stars in the cosmos. We are one. This morning, I light our congregational candle to honor the loss of a member of the congregation back in December. On December 8th, Steve Sundberg died. And Steve was a gentle, lovely spirit, and we had many good conversations, and I know several of you had come to know him as a friend. And unfortunately, his family did not know he was affiliated with our congregation and did not contact us when he died. So it was in delivering our renewal bags that I started wondering, where is he? And so found his son and found out what had happened, that he died of natural causes. And so we light this candle to remember and honor this beloved, Steve Sundberg. And please make sure your family knows to contact me if there's an emergency. Thank you. And today we add 5 more stones to our container of spirit stones to name and honor those who died in a shooting on Thursday in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Dr. Robert Leslie, age 70. Barbara Leslie, age 69. Robert Shook, age 38. Ada Leslie, age 9. Noah Leslie, age 5. May we hold all who loved them and knew them in our hearts with compassion and love. Our call to worship this morning comes from the Reverend Kathleen Teague. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together. And our chalice lighting words come from Ben Souls, called Chalice Lighting Invoking Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau wrote in his journal on February 2nd, 1841, "A child asked his father what became of the old moon, and he said it was cut up into stars. Consider the light Light out of darkness, light begets light. The light which the God of Genesis brought out of the darkness is the light that became our world. Our sun's light reflecting off our moon is eclipsed, but then returns to us as our earth quietly moves out of its way. In our current scientific understanding of the origins of the universe, the light of everything that exploded from not quite nothing is the light that became the maybe everything of which we are barely a part. This light we have kindled here will become a light for each of us to carry forth as we find our way through the shadows on our path. Let us be grateful for the light in our lives, even as we honor the dark from which the light came. And now it's time for our Wonder Box. Just part of our mission is to be curious. So we're curious about what's in the Wonder Box, right? Aha. Well, let's see where to begin. Okay. This is a chalice necklace pendant that I made with the assistance and guidance of a member of the congregation in Boca Raton, where I did my internship. And she taught me how to make fused glass objects. This is the only one I've ever made. But I treasure it and the memory of that time together. This is a rosary I found among my mother's belongings, complete with the crucifix, which is not my thing, but for a while that was important to her. My mother was always a seeker since a very young age, and she held on to some of the things that were important to her in her journey. And then these last two are different kinds of pendants. Whoop. They're interfaith pendants that I think I've shown one of these at least to you before. They remind us of all the sources that we draw from for our own search for truth and meaning. And they remind us that we want to work together with people of all faiths to create the world we dream about. And this leads into the whole of this service, but especially this story from Jake Morrill. It may be that every elementary school, the title of this, I should say, is The Playground Atheist, Lost and Found. It may be that every elementary school across the whole South has at least one self-appointed playground atheist. You know the type, when all the other kids are showing off their new WWJD bracelets and mooning about how cool the youth pastor is, there's a sharp-eyed fellow standing there by the slide, not believing any of it for a second. I'm going to pause for just a moment to take care of an important technological issue here that Russ was trying to fix, but it didn't go. All right. Sorry about that, folks. When the typical debates come up, for instance, whether dogs go to heaven, it's the playground atheist who explodes the whole conversation. Heaven, he'll say. Heaven? What are you, a moron? Yes, it's this kind of gentle, persuasive approach that has endeared playground atheists to junior Christians through the Southland for time immemorial. And at Bearden Elementary School, as the Reagan years came into full bloom, the playground atheist was me, but not me, Jake Morrill, who wrote this. From time to time, the Tennessee State Legislature will cook up a wild idea. So it happened when I was in 4th grade that a reporter from the local NBC affiliate came to visit with a cameraman in tow. The legislators in Nashville were considering whether to mandate prayer in school, and this reporter was on a mission to find out what the fourth graders thought. To start off, she had us all bow our heads, our hands folded on our desks. Then she opened it up for discussion. Well, what did we think? To absolutely no one's surprise, it was Matthew who spoke first. Everyone in the zip code knew Matthew loved Jesus, just adored him, brought him up all the time. So his eyes shining, Matthew accepted the chance to lay out his convictions. And all around the room, heads were nodding. The reporter gave thanks and asked if there were others. A girl in the back chimed in to reinforce Matthew's point. This was a world that stood ever in need of more prayer. Reporters, though, are trained to fish for intrigue, for friction. So, as hands waved in the air, she wondered if anyone had a different opinion. The hands dropped. There was silence. A friend is someone who knows just what lapses in judgment you are prone to make and will leap in to stop you. My lapses tend to involve talking at times when I shouldn't. I recall my good friend Jeff in those slow motion seconds staring at me intently from across the room, shaking his head and mouthing the word, "Don't!" But there it was. I had raised my hand. The microphone dangled close. The camera drew near. The room emptied of air. Later, I recalled having mentioned things I happened to know about the Constitution. I still believe it is possible I uttered the phrase church and state, but none of these high-minded words and ideals appeared on the local news that evening at 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock, and again on the early morning show. No, instead, what the good people of East Tennessee saw was a chubby boy with thick glasses announcing to the whole world that God didn't exist. As soon as the reporter departed, the whisper of scandal began threading its way through the entire fourth grade and then the whole school. And by the next morning, certain classmates were able to tell me just what their parents thought about a boy who'd say something like that on TV. My parents, I gather, also received some feedback. What I had was not fame. It was outright infamy. Before, my atheism had been an occasional source of wonder to others. They felt the kind of pride you feel when a neighbor happens to own an exotic bird of bright plumage. It was a thrill to be in proximity to something so odd. The Christians even seemed to enjoy my earnest challenges, seeing them perhaps as a kind of trial. But this time, it seemed, the playground atheists had taken it too far. To say something hateful about Jesus at recess was one thing. To broadcast it so everyone could hear it, unacceptable. The week dragged on as I found myself shunned by my classmates, but then on Thursday afternoon, 2 handwritten letters arrived, both from the Tennessee Valley Unitarian Universalist Church. One was from my Sunday school teacher, the other from the Minister of Religious Education. Without even opening the envelopes, I knew what to expect, and sure enough, there it was. They were proud, not of my atheism per se, but of the character they said they saw in what I'd done. Like the ancient prophets a Sunday school class was studying that year, said one, I had stood my ground and had said what I thought. The next day, the purgatory of exclusion continued, but somehow I didn't mind it as much. A cold shoulder was nothing beside what Jonah or Amos had faced, and by Monday it seemed all was back to normal. In the years since, my theology has evolved. I have taken communion, stopped in awe before mountains. I have prayed till tears came and sat in meditation for long hours in a dark Buddhist zendo. But truth be told, it was as an atheist that I first came to see, in a way that was real and has not failed me since, how I am part of a love wider than my own life, and how that spacious embrace makes itself known to me, most often through a community like the one that first told me, you are not alone. And now let us sing together Die Gedanken sind frei, Alsatian folk tune with words written by Arthur Kevis and Elizabeth Bennett, one of my favorite hymns. Eyes on Michael. This reading I want to share with you today, called I Choose You, I Am Here, is offered with permission from the author, Emma Merchant, a homegrown UU young adult from the UU Church of Akron, Ohio. So these are Emma's words. I have never been particularly attached to the idea of family. Do you know the Swiss Family Robinson? It's the story of how a family worked together and survived. It never reached beyond a story for me. It never occurred to me that some people actually felt this way towards their bloodline, that the lineage was sacred. To me, it always seemed that blood could be spilled. I've always felt that when people identify family as something important and universal, what they are truly addressing is unconditional love. This is not to say that I hate the idea of family, but I've always been more enchanted by the idea of chosen family. The thought that we are each making a choice to be here in this family, in this community, is powerful. We have actively chosen to come and be here. I'm not stuck with you because you're my cousin and I'm not allowed to be rude. I could leave if I wanted to, but I don't because of the way that we have each nurtured this community. I choose to be stuck with you, for better or for worse. And we have continuously made this choice over and over again. Every time we attend worship, every time we donate our time and energy, every time we clasp hands in meditation is a promise. I am here for you. The DNA of this community may be metaphorical, but it exists within me. The words covenant and right relation are second nature, placed on my tongue almost since birth, but they are words that I have chosen to bring into my life. My heart beats with the blood of this church, pounding out, I choose you, I am here. This is a safe space, a place of learning, a place of compassion, a space created by the very idea of love. We chose to build a sanctuary because we chose to be together. There is no use for a church of people who hate each other or a church of ghosts. We make the choice to stay stuck together, even when we don't even want to be in the same room. But we always come back to the table because we choose to be together. Through thick and thin, we have chosen love. And in hard times, struggling times, times that we face every day, we come together even closer. We make the choice to listen to each other. We make the choice to pick each other up. And we make the choice to love each other. We have built this community with our commitment to that love. We all have many different reasons for being here, but I like to think that we all have one common reason for being here: love. Over everything else, we are here because we are the people who choose love. We do not have a bloodline, but we have a deep, unconditional love that runs through us all. We choose that love. We choose each other. Our hearts echo, I choose you. I am here. I am here. I am here.
See how much you can save at geico.com.
Choosing the mountain. I feel like that's what Unitarian Universalists do. Maybe not to get to the very top and find a wise old sage who will give us all the answers, but rather just a searching, an exploring, an experiencing. Maybe we get to the top and keep going on to the next mountain again and again. Or maybe we find what we're looking for early and we go back to the mountain later when we're looking for something else. From the top of the mountain, there's perspective, there's view, there's seeing the vastness of life. Choosing the mountain is choosing the hard path, and I think Unitarian Universalism is like that. It's a hard path. We don't hand you everything you need to know about this faith because it's always a learning experience. We're always learning more about this faith. And this faith is always evolving because of the people who continue to be here and the new people who come. We are always growing and changing. Unitarian Universalists are seekers, we're learners, and we're growing, always growing, hopefully. That's what we invite everyone to be doing, to seek and learn and grow in this faith. If you could see the picture I drew here, I have one of those like images of, I drew a picture of like one of those rulers you put on the side of a door frame or something to measure your kids as they grow up. And I put mine on there to sort of put some dates for key points in my journey where something shifted, where new ideas came in, where I grew in my faith and in my understanding of my own truth and meaning. Emma's idea of a chosen family really speaks to me. I am fortunate that I am one who gladly chooses my biological family, but I also chose the family of Unitarian Universalism, the family in my home congregation in Virginia, the family of the congregation I serve here. This is my chosen faith. I certainly went exploring, and I'll say more about that in a moment, but this is where I am and where I choose over and over to stay, because I do that too. Hopefully we all do. Hopefully we're all always choosing this faith. And maybe sometimes we don't, and we go seeking elsewhere, but we know this will always be here for anyone who is seeking this faith. And we choose love. That's the message in all of these opening words and chalice lighting and Jake's words and Emma's words, is that we choose love. That is at the center of our faith, choosing love. And we don't do this alone. I know many people say, oh, I have my personal practice and I'm fine. I don't need an organized religion. I try to avoid the joke about we're not all that organized, but there I went. But it isn't so much the organized religion that I would proclaim as what one would find here, but rather a community of discernment, a community of practice, a community that helps us not climb that mountain alone, to be with one another and share our ideas and what we're discovering about ourselves and the world and what we believe and what matters to us and our core values. So my journey, in my growing up years, I had the Unitarian Universalist identity from as early as I can remember. And my parents would never share what they believed. I think right to the end, I didn't know for sure what either of them actually believed about the divine, about what happens after we die. I do know they believed in the idea of deeds, that what we do here on this earth matters. So I was taught that my thoughts are free, but that my words have consequences, and that my spirit is free, but my actions have consequences. Some of those were difficult lessons, as many of you might have experienced. And ever since I was very young, I wandered and I wondered about God. And I had a book that I read over and over that had this one little piece in it about the main character hearing the voice of God call his name. And I wanted that so much. But I continued to grow and learn. I had terrible experiences that made me decide there was no God, and then terrible experiences that made me believe God was punishing me. And then I came to understand I could consider God in any way I wanted. I could think about God as being my heart and my hands and your heart and your hands, that we are all here to manifest love and care and compassion and justice, which is at the core of love, being able to identify that everyone is full of worth and dignity and worthy of being treated well. So my journey was very wide open during my young years, but when I was 23 and I went back to my home congregation, I found what I needed. I found a community of love that was holding me. And over 15, 16 years of being there, actively engaged, I learned that this community was how I was forming all of my ideas about life and spirit and the divine and what holds us together and the holy. And I developed through all that engagement a sense of ownership and really lived into that vision that they had of creating acts of transforming the world through acts of love and justice. And love and justice always went together in those years, and they still do. Now, sometimes it was really painful because, remember, consequences. Sometimes I said things that caused harm and hurt. Sometimes I did things that caused harm or hurt. And it was always best if I knew about it so I could learn and grow and also seek forgiveness for myself and their forgiveness of me. It's how we grow. And the other thing I love about Jake and Emma's words is they spoke their truths. They spoke their truths and the congregation held them. And this is part of the task of the religious community, to teach our children well. We hold and love one another with care and compassion. And that is what I want our young people to understand, is that this community will hold them, will trust them, will listen to them, for they have wisdom too. That they can take this love that they find here in our congregation and in this faith, and they can take that love and that care and compassion out into the world, always with curiosity, always knowing their true selves and their true values, always knowing that love is at the core of justice. We need to support their free thoughts and spirits and support them through the consequences. And as I said, listen, because they too have wisdom. They teach us older people as well, our children do. When my son was 13, our son was 13, he had done, it was a different name, but a coming of age type program. It culminated into a ceremony. He did this solo. He was the only one in it. And he did a presentation with a credo. And he declared at age 13, almost 14, that he was an atheist. Fine. A lot of people at that age are atheists. They start to see the flaws in the world and the flaws in their parents and start to wonder about God. I know I went through that space too. One of my brothers sent our son several books about finding Jesus. And I was livid. I was so mad. I couldn't believe he was imposing his beliefs on our son. Our son was like, whatever, meh, because he knew what he knew. And he was open to hearing other ideas, but he knew his own mind and heart. And he wasn't threatened by someone else offering what gives them hope and a sense of purpose in life. Their truth and meaning didn't threaten him. Now, I have since learned, of course, that we can hold on to the teachings from our childhood religious exploration, our childhood religious experiences that still serve us, that we still claim. We can also hear other people's ideas, and they can't sway us unless we choose to be swayed, unless we hear something in there that says, oh, that's a new way of seeing that I hadn't considered. Maybe I can develop an idea of God. I can call it what I want to call it. I can call it the Holy Oneness or the isness. But to understand that we're always learning and growing. And we may want to hold on to some things from the past. Being raised Unitarian Universalist, I don't have a lot of personal baggage, I guess, from that experience. But I have found that we've shifted and moved and grown as a faith in really tremendous and wonderful ways. We don't know the truth about what happens after we die. We don't know the truth with a capital T about God. We know the truth about love. We know about the transforming power of love. And life is a riddle and a mystery. And we can't take all the questions of meaning too seriously, nor our truth, our lowercase truth. Because what we are really called to do, our commission, is to keep love at the center, in the here and now, in this world. Be ours a religion, its ritual, works of love. That is our commission. So at this point in our service, I want to invite us into small groups of 3 households for about 15 minutes, which is going to take us pretty close to noon. But I think this will be a rich conversation I want to invite you to reflect on your current spiritual and religious identities. So that could be, oh, I'm a UU pagan, or I'm a UU atheist, or I'm a UU Buddhist, or maybe you're just a Unitarian Universalist. How do these identities become, and I shouldn't say just a Unitarian Universalist, you can be a Unitarian Universalist. How did these identities become? Think of just one brief story about your ending up here. How did you get here? Not the long story, but just, and maybe if there's, or share whatever you like. Maybe one thing that you've retained from whatever your faith of origin was, or one thing that you've learned and held on to in your relationship with Unitarian Universalism. I hope you had good conversations, and let's sing to those good conversations with the words by Paul Gauguin, put to music by Brian Tate. Where do we come from? I invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer with these words from Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal. Spirit of life and love, in the silence, in the stillness, we hear the call of our own heart, its tender dreams, its sorrows and its triumphs. In the silence, in the stillness, we hear whispers of days gone by, of dreams still becoming, the promise of the future. We celebrate together our individual journeys and dreams and our collective ones, knowing the journey is so much richer with others to share in it. In the name of all that is holy, we pray. Amen.
Hi, I'm Barbara Sankey, and I am one of the UUCG Endowment Fund board members. And I'm here to speak to you about the importance of our endowment to the future of UUCG and the liberal faith community in Gwinnett County. UUCG can trace its history back to 1981 in Lilburn, and over time, we've come to this blue box that's so much bigger on the inside, so much filled with love. And it looks like this small blue box, but from the outside. But I tell you, when I can't wait till we get to come back and walk that sidewalk and walk into the building, because the minute I walk in, I feel just the love in the building. So I'm looking forward to that, because being a member of this church has really helped my brain, my heart, my whole spirit grow in such huge ways. So I've been a friend, I've been a member, I've been an active member, and I've been a leader. And UUCG has been here for me and helped me on my healing path. It's helping people in Gwinnett, and it's really helping people even beyond that right now. We're really expanding our reach. And this past year during COVID, it's been vital to keeping me sane. And I hope many of us can say the same thing. The endowment is just one piece of this ever expanding circle of love of UUCG. The endowment was founded in 1997, and members realized we needed to do something separate to really invest in our future. So they created the Endowment Fund, which is a separate nonprofit from UUCG. It has its own financial status and governance, and you can find out more about that on the UUCG webpage. But the Endowment Fund is available to help UUCG do capital type projects. And those projects might be an investment in the building, the property, or in our leadership development. To ensure that the investment can last, the endowment can be used to provide loans. And this is like what we did with the septic tank. And so the loan is provided, we do the work, and then the loan is repaid, which means we're continuing to invest in UUCG's future. Also, the endowment has provided grants based on the money we've earned, and those have been able to fund people to go to national and regional events for UU. And so it's like we are investing in our own future when we contribute to endowment. So this year we're doing the 40 for 40 campaign, which is designed to increase that fund base and make sure it's continuing to grow. This is our 40th year coming up, and as of April 7th, we have received donations from 58 members totaling $2,640, which, yay, good on us. I do know it's been a tough year for many of us financially, and for others, we've kind of made it through. Some might have been very, very successful. It's going to be unique for each of us. The ask is, if you can contribute $5, $40, $200, or $2,000, that you consider the UUCG Endowment Fund this year for your giving. If you can do it by May 2nd, which is our UUCG Founders Day service, we can celebrate founding the congregation in 1981 and ensuring the future ongoing. So folks who make a contribution of $40 or more will receive a mug featured on my screen here. That's two different sides of the mug. And basically you can use this mug to remind yourself that you're part of this church with this mission of living with courage, curiosity, and compassion right now and in the future. So let's fund UUCG's future with the endowment. Thank you, everybody who's already supported.
Thank you, Barbara. Our congregation is committed to a compassionate world, and to this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization nominated by people in the congregation and selected by our Giveaway the Plate committee. Today, this quarter, our plate recipient, nominated by Peggy Averett, is Path Project, a Gwinnett-based organization. An excerpt about the work they do in their community from their website is this. There are multiple challenges facing children growing up in mobile home parks, but the most pressing challenge is the high school dropout rate. In mobile home parks, there's often a culture of it's okay to drop out of high school. We can end this with strong positive relationships and education. This is why we do what we do. At their community centers, they offer programs that are designed using research-based best practices and are led by certified teachers and youth development specialists who serve alongside incredible volunteers. They have partnerships with businesses, churches, schools, park owners, parents, and other nonprofits to help with their on-site programs. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation, so please give generously to support this important ministry in our local community as well as the ministry of this congregation. As we listen to a recording of our pianist Brian Bishop playing Children at Play by Unitarian composer Bela Bartok, you will see on the screen ways to contribute to our offering via PayPal, Venmo, or by mailing a check payable to UUCG to the address shown. You can also write a check to UUCG Endowment, And you can do PayPal and Venmo for endowment contributions as well. Just be very certain to note that it's for the endowment. Thank you. If you're worshiping with us for the first time, your presence here today is a great gift to this congregation, and you may choose to let the plate pass. The offering will now be most gratefully received. May the generous gifts received this week move us towards realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world. I am grateful to Barbara Stanke for sharing her reflections on this congregation and the importance of planning for our future, and for her service on the endowment board. Grateful to Ed Miller and Mac Miller for receiving and delivering your contributions of food and supplies to the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministries this week. We collected 308 pounds of food. Way to go, people. Many thanks to all who contributed. Also grateful to Tony Nastri for managing the Zoom room, and Russ Taddeo for running video and sound. Now is the time for our call to connection. It is very important that we stay connected during this time of separation, which seems like an oxymoron, but we need to do it. So if you're new to our congregation, please text welcoming to the number on the screen to receive a few texts and emails to help you guide you in connecting. They don't last more than a few weeks, so please try that. And you can go to our website to look at what kinds of activities are coming up, and sign up for our e-news and our newsletter by emailing info@uucg.org and ask to be added to our mailing list. You may also consider, if you're new, being a part of the next Starting Point program that we'll be offering within the next month or so. It'll start. We're still working on the details for dates and facilitators, but this is a great program for newcomers and longtime members to come together to get to know one another in a small group setting that lasts for 4 sessions. And it's a really enriching program to learn a lot about our faith and our congregation. If you want to watch our past services, we have a YouTube channel at UU Gwinnett, and there's a link there on the screen, and I believe you can find that on our website as well. Next Sunday, we have a town hall meeting following the service. Hope that everyone will come. It'll be a rich conversation. Our reconvening task force will be one of the main points for this meeting. Also, our nominating committee wants to talk about the leadership opportunities and open questions that the board has for you and that you might have for us. So please plan to stay after the service next Sunday for that. The Easter egg hunt is on through the month of April, and you can find information about that on our website. But also, the best way to go is through our e-news or our newsletter, both of which can be accessed on our website. Property Work Day is Saturday, May 1st, the day before our food drive. Food drives May 2nd from 2 to 4. Please bring food that day. Let's try to beat our 308 pounds and get even more. And we need delegates to attend virtually. We need 2 more people to step up as delegates for our UUA General Assembly. If you want more information, please contact me or Lorena Griffin or Christiana McQueen or Sharon Yuen, who's already stepped up to serve. And if you can donate platelets, if you're eligible, please do. The platelet bank really needs more platelets, and Team Terry needs more platelets. So please keep contributing if you're able. Some ways to engage your search for truth and meaning this week and going forward. Faith development resources for all ages are available through that link on the site there. And that link is also available in the e-news, the newsletter, and on our website. We offer religious exploration for elementary school age children. And if you have not registered your children, please do so that they can participate. This is a security issue. We only let registered children participate. They meet on Zoom at 12:30 every Sunday except the second Sunday. So they're not meeting today. Today is Spiral Scouts. Adult religious exploration for adults and teens takes place at 10 a.m. every Sunday. And we have small group conversations and activities, explorations on our current theme. A few things this week I want to lift up. The Belief Exploration Group, Exploring the Sources of All Beliefs, gathers on the second Sunday today at 12:30. And a Secular Truths group, Gwinnett Understanding Secular Truths, known as GUST, will be having a program tomorrow night at 7 on what do we owe others. And a Cups workshop on Saturday the 17th from 6 to 9. If you are, if your spirituality has you in an earth relating practice, that may be for you. And lots of ways to connect. Our Covenant Choir on Tuesdays, Yarns from the Heart on first and third Wednesdays, Courageous Coffee House every Thursday. Come and share a poem, a piece of music, whatever, play a song. Women's Spirituality is this Friday. No, it was last Friday, sorry. And Exploring Tarot with Sherry is every Sunday at 5 o'clock. Our 40-40 you've heard about. No need to say more about that. Just please give if you can and give more if you're able. Now let us rise in spirit as we say together the words we say as we extinguish our chalice, followed by our closing song, a very short song, Be Ours a Religion, with words from Theodore Parker, put to music by Thomas Benjamin. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Closing words come from Reverend Tendeka. So if someone tells you that they know pain, loneliness, loss, fear, and dismay, but does not know the feeling of being sustained by a love that is wider, deeper, and infinitely vaster than the sorrows, hear those words as a commission. Hear your commission to love, to create community, and to heal. One at a time in personal relationships, 10 at a time in covenant groups, hundreds at a time in our congregations, hundreds of thousands at a time in our religious movement, millions at a time, as we take our commission deeper and deeper into humanity's heart as a justice-loving people who will transform the world. This is the good news of our faith. Our service has ended, and now our service to one another and our wider communities begins. Please be well, beloveds. I'm glad to say I received my second shot this past Thursday. Let me know if and when you get vaccinated, if you haven't already. This is one factor of many in our ability to gather again in person.